I got a problem.
Yep.
I'm gonna submit the ticket. I'm gonna file the bug report, and it's gonna say it's broken. Job done. Cool.
I'll read that email and I will hit delete. Because none of that.
To the trash.
We're not doing that. No, that's wrong.
Straight to the trash.
Straight to the can. So I'm going to step up on the social soapbox here for a minute.
I love these so much.
And, you might see a blog post out of this eventually, but for now, how to ask for help.
Dan and I have both been in the trenches for a while. So we've seen the absolute worst of the worst help requests that you could, like the 2-word help requests. I've had requests that are help, please.
Yeah. Or
I appreciate that you put please in there, but please didn't help.
Please fix. Sometimes please fix now. Depends.
Oh God, there, right? Yeah. Please fix now, and then the email goes red, and then we know it's an urgent.
Yeah. So some of this is not necessarily pointed at a Linux and open source type of project, but it holds true there as well. So I think these are just good advices to follow no matter where you're reporting your problem. So I'm going to link to an article by Simon Tatham that details much of what I think is good ways to write bugs effectively. But that's really long, and so I think I can step it, with a few do's and don'ts for the folks that don't read everything.
Okay.
I will say in Lubuntu we have a wiki page dedicated to bug reporting, and that's also kind of lengthy, so I'll link to that as well, just so you know where I'm coming from. And many other projects obviously have their own thing too, so read that if you may. So first one. Do provide as much detail as possible. I mean, even if you think something is unimportant, you probably want to get it in there because it might help who's ever on the other end.
Right. So this is like facts of the matter, right?
Correct.
I clicked this.
Yep.
This happened. I saw this. This message came up. It said this, right? Like,
yeah.
Facts, any fact that you saw on the screen, that you experienced.
Ultimately, I think you want to be able to give enough information so that someone can recreate your problem and have the context behind how to recreate. And that kind of goes into my next one here too.
Right.
So do give the steps to reproduce your issue. See the first one. Being able to reproduce the problem means someone will be able to work on it while you're not around, because you're probably not going to be there, for the hours that it takes to troubleshoot and figure that out. I mean, at least I hope you don't have to be. Let's put it that way. That's not
right.
Nice.
There are those weird squirrely bugs that there's going to be an email chain between you and somebody trying to make this happen again. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, these bugs are pretty reproducible. So if you give those facts, here's what I was doing, here's what I was clicking, here's what was running, then somebody can try to reproduce that situation as best they possibly can, and there's a really good chance that they're going to run into the same exact thing that you ran into. And when they can do that, when they can reproduce your problem, they don't have to ask you for logs. Yeah. They get their own.
Exactly.
And they can parse what that is, figure out what that is, do all of the ninja stuff they have to do to figure out what the heck is actually going wrong.
Exactly. It keeps you out of the gobbledygook. You don't have to worry about it. It can just get taken care of in the background. And then you can come back. They can say, oh, your thing's fixed. Here you go. And you'd be like, yay. And so that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Being able to do that.
You're going to question, is this email too long? Is this bug report too long? But
Probably
I think the person on the receiving end of that can get rid of the trash they don't need instead of have to say, well, could you give me more information? If you gave all the information you could possibly give, then there's a good chance you're just fine.
So my final do here is, well, it's not final, but the last one I have listed is do some research on your own. I'm not saying RTFM, but yeah, maybe RTFM. Seriously, though, if you can demonstrate that you've attempted to learn something and find a solution on your own and learn more about whatever the thing is, it can go a lot further into saying you're vested into finding a solution, and it helps the person that's helping you know that you really want to get to the bottom of it, and you did attempt to find something, but you were unsuccessful. That's fair. Like, I don't think everybody has to know everything about everything. That's just not reasonable. But being able to look up, see, oh, there is a bug report already. I don't need to report another one. I could maybe just pile onto this one.
That is key right there.
Yep.
Pile on to an existing bug report.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that you can do is, because otherwise, but I think a lot of these trackers allow you to merge
They do
those things,
Yep,
right?
they do.
So it's not I wouldn't, would it be a cardinal sin to open up
it's
the
not
same
a cardinal
bug?
sin. No, I would say it's not a cardinal sin. You should open something if you have a problem, even if you haven't found the other one. But if you do a little bit of research and you find another one, it's much better to pile onto that, because then that adds a little heat to it, and maybe your thing can get solved faster with more information from another source. Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, like I said, it makes it look like you're trying to solve the thing, and they're trying to solve the thing, and everybody's trying to get there. And ultimately, it could turn into, well, that's how it's supposed to work. And, that was a feature, not a bug. And potentially.
Okay.
And so then you can ask for a feature request so that it doesn't do that, I suppose. But
there we go.
At least you're going down the right path. And so that's kind of helpful. So finally, I'm gonna bring up some don'ts. Don't give up.
The cardinal sins. Here they come.
Don't do this. Don't give up. Don't, at least not easily. If you don't give up, the person on the other end probably isn't going to give up either. That, again, makes it look like you're interested in getting it solved. And obviously, though, if the thing is, dragging out and you need to move on, you need to move on. But I don't think a couple of chat messages or a couple of, exchanges on a forum post are enough they're not sufficient to say that you need to, totally flip it upside down and move on. I saw this recently. I think it was on Reddit, which isn't the greatest place, but sometimes people provide support there. Just saying. There was like a post, my thing, it's terrible. I can't deal with this. And then somebody said, well, try this, try that. And they're like, well, I can't be bothered. I'm just moving on to Windows. Okay, great.
Now that happens a lot.
It does happen a lot, but I mean, you gave it 2 milliseconds. I mean, that's not enough time. Nobody can solve anything in that, That's just not fair and reasonable. So,
even if they did fix it, I mean, would you even have time to have upgraded and tried the new version that might or may not have the fix? Yeah.
Or maybe you just needed to, toggle a switch or something, and there it was.
Oh, true.
I mean, it's so simple sometimes that you gave up too soon. Don't do that. Don't give up. We won't give up on you. Another one. Don't get upset. I mean, I know you can get frustrated, but that goes 2 ways. If you come in hot, expect the same response coming back at you. I mean, it's how humans work. Don't do that. Sometimes stuff doesn't work, and I get it. You're frustrated, but it's not beneficial. You never solve a problem by just yelling back and forth. Don't report issues about end of life or out of support stuff. Just don't do that. Nobody wants to.
How do you know? I think so. This one is tough, right?
Well, you do kind of have to pay attention to announcements and stuff and whatnot, and so this is
I'm
where
having flashbacks to Gen 2 here.
Yeah, this is where knowing what version you're running is going back up to doing a little bit of research, right?
Okay, I see.
So this is knowing what version you're on, knowing what version's out, and knowing potentially where your fix is already in play, if that's possible. But ultimately, if your thing is end of life or out of support, and someone tells you that, though, I mean, if they come back and say, well, that thing is, we've moved on, we've got this other thing now, you should probably try that. And then they say, well, I really want the old one. No, don't do that. People don't want to waste time on things that they've moved past already. It's not efficient. And sometimes the fix can be very complicated. And it was like a lot of refactoring that took place behind the scenes in order to bring the new feature online, that you can't backport that. And it's just not possible. So don't ask for out-of-date stuff to be fixed. That's just not
GNOME
reasonable.
console.
Yeah, even if it's not that. I mean, even, I
need my colors, man.
I mean, why does 12.04 Ubuntu not work for me? Can't you
Wait
add
a minute. Isn't 1204 still alive?
Okay,
right?
maybe 10.04.
There we go.
I don't know. Let's go back
that's
further.
the one.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you go way back.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
There's a death date for everything. And if it's dead, you can't really resurrect. At least the main group working on it can't resurrect it. Somebody else might want to resurrect it. That might be something that they're into. But yeah. Most people that have left it behind have left it behind.
Yeah, one thing that I was taught a long time ago, and that was in packaging for Debian stuff. I mean, it holds true pretty much everywhere. Versions go up, not down. They don't go down.
Yeah, true. Well, maybe one day we'll see another Debian 1, but
probably not.
Nah, probably not.
So finally, one last do report your issue. We talked about this a little bit. Sure, testing is probably, should probably pick up your issue, but sometimes that isn't perfect and it can get slipped through. So if you do find a problem, make sure to report, because everyone uses things differently, and it's entirely possible that nobody's noticed your problem. It could be unique, and it is very, very difficult to fix the problems that people don't know about.
There's one thing that's absolutely true, is that you write a piece of software and someone's going to use it in a way that you didn't intend.
Yeah, I guarantee.
And so if that's a use case that they want to eventually support, then you're going to need to help them figure out how to do what it is that you're trying to do that they never even envisioned. So yeah, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some time. But if you care enough about the software to even open up the website, to even think about writing a bug report, then I think you're probably on the side of wanting to help and wanting to do all this stuff. So I think most of the stuff, I don't think usually has to be said. But I'm glad, Dan, you did. Because it's good advice, man. It's really good advice, and it's good to be invested in this stuff. Because we're on the side of, I guess, just like free and open source software, right? And that requires a whole lot more tender love and care than bigger projects than this. But I will say, that's what I think our user forum is for. Like,
yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, if you're ever unsure about any of this stuff, if you're, or even if you have a question about something that it doesn't rise to the level of bug report, that's a good place to go post it.
And that's why chat things exist, like Matrix. I mean, a lot of support places are in Matrix or Discord or Telegram even. I mean, there's a lot of different places, and that's why those things exist. So you can have a little dialogue before you actually do go enter a bug report.
Right.
And then, you can make sure you got all of the info that you need lined up so that you can submit a bug report.
Yeah, you can definitely look at a lot of the chat. I mean, we're certainly not primarily in any way, but I think there are a lot of people in the places that we hang out, all of the Linux user space stuff, that is just, they're really helpful people. I think Dan and I too, when we find the time, I mean, we try to be really helpful people. So it's just a good place to go and talk about these kinds of things and figure out if you even need to file a bug report at all. Because as Dan was saying, it might just be a toggle.
It could be something simple, yeah.
So yeah, the user forum over at lemmy.linuxuserspace.show.
That's a good place.
Gets a whole lot more traction than I thought.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think it's going to get a little bit more of my time moving forward. But yeah, man, it's a good place to post weird questions.
Anyway, you can catch all the great links at linuxuserspace.show. And if you want to email us, which we've got some of those that we're going to review right now, you can email us at contact@linuxuserspace.show.
And don't forget, linuxuserspace.show, there's that contact button. You click on the contact button. You don't even have to open up your Gmail.
Nope.
You can just write us a message right there and it comes straight to our inbox. So do that. And it seems to me the emails always end up in the show. Comments anywhere else sometimes end up in the show.
That's true.
If you want to hear us talk about it, send an email.